Okay, so next question is from Amy Gomez. One of the most popular Catholic homeschool curriculum programs in the United States includes the book Richard III by Paul Murray Kendall. This book has the thesis that the king was a saintly figure who is completely maligned, yet other authors, such as our beloved St. Thomas More, portray him as very evil, even if some of these works are semi-fictional. Do you have an opinion on the subject?
Oh, yeah, sure. You bet.
Would you like to present it for us?
All right. Yeah, I can do that, but that wasn't her question. Her question was, do I have an opinion? And the answer is yes, I do.
Oh, great.
So you're asking me if I'd like to present the opinion.
Yes.
All right. Firstly, you've got to bear in mind that Richard III was initially the victor and then the loser in a very bitter civil war called the Wars of the Roses. And this pitted the two surviving branches of the House of Plantagenet, Lancaster and York, against each other. The Red Rose of Lancaster and the White Rose of York. Now, Henry Tudor, Henry VII, who defeated Richard III and became king, and father of Henry VIII, he was the heir in the female line of the House of Lancaster. The male line was extinct. Interestingly enough, and this shows you how weirdly, strangely interconnected these things are, Henry IV had rather unpleasantly done in the Yorkists who preceded him. I forget the details at the moment, frankly. It was just Henry IV was the father of Henry V. Henry V, of course, was the famous Henry V of Agincourt, God for Harry, England, and St. George. His son was Henry VI. Henry VI was a saintly figure. He may be a saint. Certainly it was a big move for his canonization, and it would probably have gone through had it not been for the Reformation. He was the last king of the House of Lancaster, and he was overthrown by the House of York. All right, in the person of Richard III's older brother, Edward IV. Where are we going with all this? Well, Richard III felt sort of guilty about Henry VI's death and moved him from wherever it was they had him to Windsor and basically enshrined him.
Okay.
And this is an interesting thing if you think about it. He was a saint, representative of the house whom his family had to destroy in order to take the crown. Now, who had the better claim to the crown, York or Lancaster, is something people will argue about forever and ever. But it worked out in the fashion it worked out. So Richard III's brother dies. His nephew, his very little nephew, is the king, but is not really in a position to do anything about it. And a regency, given how unsteady the crown was, the regency would not have been a good idea. So he took the crown himself. Now, like Alexander VI, the Borgia Pope, Richard III has very fervent defenders and very fervent opponents. Now, both St. Thomas More and William Shakespeare were partisans of the House of Lancaster, the House of Tudor. And so their view of Richard III is obviously colored by that fact. Remember that saints themselves have views and opinions that are not necessarily infallible. St. Bernard of Clairvaux, for instance, absolutely hated St. Wilfrid of York and treated him very unjustly. St. Jerome, for a while, they reconciled eventually, but for a while, St. Jerome absolutely hated St. Augustine.
Well, St. Augustine, I thought, was the one who was picking a fight.
Yeah, but St. Jerome, he didn't mind giving it back.
No, I read those letters, and St. Jerome, I remember he said, I don't just, when I have a difference of opinion with you, I don't hassle you about it, so why are you hassling me? That's basically what he said.
But afterwards, he called him that little Numidian ant. So, but eventually they reconcile. But the point I'm making is that if saints can argue with each other and be unjust toward each other, it's not surprising that they can have opinions that are erroneous, especially in political matters. We're not even talking about a religious matter. Now, mind you, I'm not saying St. Thomas More was necessarily wrong, but he wasn't necessarily right. The case has to be examined on its own merits. So, there is an organization called the Richard III Society, which is located in England, but it has branches in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. The Richard III Society. Look them up. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff about Richard III and how he was written and stuff. Read it for yourself. Decide for yourself. You'll also see the Henry VI Society online, and they'll tell you about the sainthood of Henry VI. And you'll find the Henry VII Society online, and they'll tell you how wonderful Henry Tudor was. So, with all of this, what do I think? What's my personal opinion? Personally, although it's not a strongly held opinion, I believe, well, part of it is, I do believe Henry VI was a saint. I do believe that. I tend to think Richard III was a lot better than he's portrayed. But I don't hold that with the same fervor that I do other things.
Good enough.
And I haven't read the Kendall book though, so I probably should. If anybody wants to make a present of it for me for Christmas, I'll appreciate that.